Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Sheldon here, and today we're on the website of Amati Auctions based in the UK. We're going to have a look at their latest auction, which is their specialist high-end sale happening on the 26th and 27th of March 2025. So it's the 16th of March today, so quite a while left to go for everyone to have a look at the catalogue. So those of you that watch the channel will have seen that I haven't really posted any videos for a while. I'm just super busy these days, so I'm kind of being a bit choosy about which auctions that I cover. Missed a couple recently for Gardner Hallgate and Hagersheimer, I think in Germany, which were fairly interesting, but I just didn't have the time to do a video. But there are a few coming up because it's the big auction season in London coming up, so definitely some interesting stuff. Just like to say, we're just going to do a really brief overview of this catalogue and see if there's anything interesting. There's just so much stuff in all these auctions these days, it's just I can't really go over everything, and I can't even really do things that much kind of justice because there's just too many things out there. But we will do our best. If you do enjoy these videos, please consider liking, subscribing, turn on notifications, all of that fun stuff, because it really does help. So here you can see a ridiculous amount of lots, up to 363. Buyer's premium is 22%, so whatever the final hammer price is, you need to add 22% to that, so do bear that in mind. It's a UK-based auction, so watch out for CITES restrictions and shipping and all of that kind of stuff. Other than that, have fun. I'll put a link to the catalogue in the description. Any questions, please let me know, and I'll try and answer as best as I can. There's so much interesting stuff in this auction. I really don't know where to begin. I'm going to try and go to the viewing in a week's time or so, and hopefully take a few videos of things. But yeah, it really is like a crazy catalogue really. Anyway, starting off with some cellos here. Remember that those of you that have seen Amati before, they've got this 360 on the bodies of the violins, violas and cellos, so worth looking at here. So we've got a cello, Emilio Romana, early 20th century, so some kind of possibly Italian, well they're saying it's Italian cello, 20th century, from that region. Looks kind of nice enough, we're not going to get into that too much. A cello by Joseph Ian Roth, Pitlochry, which I presume is in Scotland, but I don't actually know for sure. So 1500 to 2000 on that, so fairly low estimate. I've got a cello, School of Lockey Hill, London, circa 1780. No condition reports up for this. I think condition reports do sometimes come a bit later with these auctions, so if you look at this another time, you might see condition reports for these lots. Maybe there are some on some other lots here, but yeah, English cello there, circa 1780 from London. Looks like it's had a few previous repairs. Got Neuner and Hornstein in there. Germany, France. We're going to skip some of this kind of generic stuff. So cello, England, circa 1800, ribs, table and head by different hands. So it's been made by a few different people here, so worth bearing that in mind. Estimate still 4 to 8 though. Well, this one has a condition report, so let's see here. We can see some repaired cracks, some open cracks, some other bits, new wood, etc. So worth having a look at all of the different condition reports there. Cello circa 1860. I mean, there's just so much stuff here, it's just a bit ridiculous. That's the thing, the auction world is really kind of geared up recently. In my post COVID, it's really jumped back, and my time is really kind of run out, so it makes it a bit awkward. Anyway, a cello here by GB Marassi, Cremona 1972, with a certificate, or a copy of a certificate from the man himself, one of the most kind of respected of the 20th century Italian makers there. 40 to 60 on that, so it's kind of curious. Look at the condition report there, it's got a few closed cracks, so that's surely going to be a highlight of this auction. This is quite cute, half size 18th century cello there, on to 2000. It's already got 2000 bid. Yeah, sweet, nice looking half-size cello. Do like to see some of these kind of smaller size instruments when they're made really well. Cello by William Piper, Hanbury, circa 1980. It's a maker that has been really active for a long time. I've got a viola actually from one of his workshops somewhere at home. So it made a lot of different instruments, different grades. Right, on to violas now. So this is a split auction, so we'll see some more cellos a bit later on. Viola by Pierre and Hippolyte Silvestre, Lyon, 1842. It's a nice looking viola here. Let's just have a quick look at the measurements. 398, it's not too bad size wise, 10 to 15 on that. Viola by David Rubio, currently on 1000. I do really kind of have a lot of respect for David Rubio because he was a true luthier, made all sorts of types of instruments, keyboard instruments, stringed instruments, everything, like really fine guitar maker, really good maker of bowed strings. Interesting guy. Would like to own a Rubio instrument at some time in the future. We've got some JTL stuff here that's pretty standard French stuff. This viola I think has been in the sale before. J. Gonthier, France, 400mm. I'm basically just I'm looking at things that I think are interesting, or if I have any information, just because we just don't have time to go through everything. Some standard stuff here. This is a curious one, a viola possibly by Roger Hargrave, 20th century. Yeah. So Roger Hargrave's like really respected kind of maker, but I have no idea if that has anything at all to do with him. I've seen some of his work, but it was a later period, so I literally have no idea. If anyone has an inkling, do let us know. Right, a violin by Carlo Antonio Testore, Milan, circa 1730, perfectly inlaid later. Now this is my type of violin. I love the Testore family stuff. Really cool, and it's actually quite a respectable price. Interesting wood there on the back. Absolutely beautiful. I love that scroll. That is an amazing scroll. So that is an interesting looking violin. Right, we've got a violin by Giovanni Battista Ruggieri, Brescia, circa 1680. Back by another hand. That's interesting to have the back by a different maker. Yeah, it looks kind of not not quite the same. So you get a real mixture of different things in these auctions. One in South Germany. All of this stuff looks kind of interesting, but we're only on page 1 of 16, so I just don't think that we can really spend the time to look on it all, unfortunately. But it would be nice. We've got more kind of German stuff. We're just going to have to go through past that. Right, okay, Wilfred G. Saunders, Nottingham, 1958. So one of the founders of the violin school in Newark. Beautiful bit of wood on this instrument. Really nice looking varnish, the way it's worn there. So that's very interesting. See what the size is. Yeah, 353. So yeah, nice. Usually you see a lot of violas by Wilfred Saunders, but not so many violins. Yeah, it looks like a really nice violin. I think 3 to 5. That is a pretty fair estimate there. Got some 18th century stuff here. German things. Kind of easy way to get a kind of excuse me, cheaper 18th century instrument. There are still opportunities. Violin School of Derazy. Yeah, lots of interesting things. What kind of miracle stuff? We're just going to have to go past that. Germany 1800. There's just too many good things here. Violin Circle of John Wilkinson, London, circa 1920. Slightly curious looking. Okay, violin by Franco Barozzi, Prada, 1982. Definitely very modern looking. Okay, violin, possibly Italy, so I think there's going to be lots of speculative things in this auction. And another interesting violin here by Deaconay, Venice, 1760. Estimate is 20 to 40 on that, 355 length of back. It's a nice looking violin. We don't have any of the condition reports up for these yet, so it'd be good to see those. So yeah, interesting auction so far from the Amati people. More kind of 19th century violins here, Dukes. So there's so many kind of interesting things. Violin by Thomas Mewison, Brussels, 2007. One of the quite kind of respected modern violin makers. Looks like a really nicely made instrument in really good condition. It's already got a bit of 2000. I'm sure that'll do really quite well. Got a violin by George Wilm Hudson there. Let's have a look at that. They usually do quite well. Yeah, beautiful back there. Really quite interesting. Let's see what the size is of that 357. Yeah, it's just endless things really. Violin probably England, 1870, head later. There's just an onslaught of stuff really. Also looks fairly interesting scroll there. And we're only on page 2 of 16, so it's just a bit too much here. We can skip some of this stuff, Tyrolean stuff there. Always love Perry and Wilkinson violins, but I think we don't really have time to cover that, otherwise we will be here forever. Right, Mario Garda violin there, with certificate of the maker. Were at one point extremely popular. Now kind of value of them has really tanked quite a lot. This is a very interesting violin. Circle of Antonio Ungarini, Marchi region, circa 1790, 3 to 5. That is really quite a fascinating looking violin there. That's a pretty awesome scroll. So let's see what the measurements are on that. 355. Yeah, very, very interesting. Might be a bit of an acquired taste, but I quite like that. Got a few other kind of lower level stuff here. Right, violin by Hannes Theodorus Kuipers, The Hague. So we've got a Dutch violin here, 10 to 15. I mean, it really is great auction. I like the varnish colour on that. Yeah, interesting looking violin there. Some of the Dutch stuff is really good. Violin ascribed to Bernard Simon Fent, 19th century, 3 to 5. Yeah, just endless things really. Violin probably Italy, circa 1820. Once again, kind of interesting looking violin there, kind of curious outline. So yeah, it's just there's so much stuff up for auction across all of the auction houses. It's actually quite mind-blowing. Violin, possibly Marchi region, 19th century, labelled Carlo Broschi in Parme, visit 1739. It's a bit of a bonkers looking thing, to be honest. Almost looks a bit like a hop or something. Yeah, it looks very interesting indeed. Some English stuff here. Nickel violin, possibly Naples. I mean, it's all of this stuff is kind of worth looking at. So I think if you have time, definitely spend time with this catalogue. Violin by Gand and Bernardel here, Paris 1878. Really beautiful back on that. Obviously needs a bit of attention, but it's an interesting looking violin. 19th century. I mean, all of this stuff is worth looking at, to be honest. More modern, all these kind of modern or speculative Italian things here. We're kind of losing the internet there. Interesting violin by Constantinus Solani. Another violin, possibly Italy. Nice back. Violin by a member of the Klotz family. Seen a few like that once again. Nice looking violin. Violin by Giuseppe Pedrozzini. I mean, across all of the auctions going on in London, wow, what a choice of instruments. It's really quite impressive time. Roth there. Some other stuff. This is fairly interesting. Violin probably by Claude Puret, Paris, circa 1720. Yeah, beautiful, really nice older French violin. I think really do like that work. Right, another really cool violin here. Violin by Benjamin Banks, Salisbury, 1788. The scrolls on these Banks violins or Banks cellos, whatever, they're really bold and really, really beautiful. I really like them. So, interesting looking one. Violin probably Milan. Look at all of this stuff. Violin follower of Antonio Scarbi. It's just... my mind is actually blown at the moment by the amount of stuff, because I've been looking at some of the other catalogues as well recently, and I'm a bit kind of overloaded at the moment. There's just too much stuff going on. All of this stuff here, 19th century, 20th century, it all looks really, really interesting. You know, I just want to kind of spend time and look at everything and kind of ponder it, but I just don't have the time anymore. Another Perry and Wilkinson there. It's a Colomazar the third. Kind of one of the more Magini-esque ones. Not so keen on those ones. Pretty large as well. Let's see what else we got here. We're just being super brutal here at the moment. This violin, Italy, 19th century. I mean, it's just incomprehensible, really, the amount of stuff that is for sale at these auctions. Where do all these instruments come from? I'm really... And this is a Gaetano Garda this time. So it's a certificate of Dario Diatilli. So, absolute madness. But fascinating. Like I think I'm going to have my mind blown at the viewing. All of this stuff. Like this violin, circa 1780. All these kind of curious things going on. That is an interesting looking violin as well. Just absolutely... just pure madness, really. So there's Joseph Hill there as well, and we're you know, nowhere near the end yet. We're not even hit any bows. Right, here's a nice top tier instrument, violin by Francois Louis Pic, Paris 1808, with a Hill and Sons letter. Look at that. That's a beautiful slab cut back. Absolutely love that. That's amazing. Really nice looking instrument there. Beautiful, one of the best French makers. 360 length of back there. Violin probably Italy, early 20th century, with a Fagnola label. Kind of really strong red varnish there, which is not kind of too far away from that kind of Fagnola style. More Roths here. Just crazy. We're on to bows now. I think we're going to have to be really brutal on bows. Got an interesting gold mounted cello bow there by John Clutterbuck. Another Clutterbuck bow there. So silver mounted bows. I think we're going to have to be quite brutal. Okay, let's have a look at this. A gold and tortoiseshell mounted violin bow for J.B. Violin attributed to Pierre Simon, Paris, circa 1860. So 5 to 10 on that. That's a very high-end bow. Let's see what else we've got here. Silver mounted violin bow by Eugene Sartre, Paris, circa 1920. That's a very low estimate. So what's his... Oh, repairs to head, I was going to say. But we've said before, you can see it's pretty obvious. If you get one of these bows for the repair, you know, you can get them for a lot cheaper and you don't need to worry about them so much, because if they break, then they break, don't they? Silver mounted violin bow by Emile Auguste Bouchard Fille. So we're in a really nice zone of French bows there, 6 to 8 on that. Got some hill bows here. Right, silver mounted violin bow by Charles Espy, Port Townsend, circa 1990, one of the really respected American makers here. You usually see those kind of bows on Teresio, so one of them made its way over the pond. Golden tortoiseshell mounted by Malcolm Taylor. So all some good bows here. John Clutterbuck again. Louis Morizot. This is all interesting. Workshop of Praja. Some really interesting stuff here. Right, ivory mounted violin bow by Dodd, London, circa 1780. I think replacement adjuster there, but interesting bow otherwise. Silver mounted bow. Lots of interesting stuff here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Nürnberger, always good. Frechner as well. More Nürnberger. Pierre Verdudez, we've got a few books here, a few cases. Right, back to cellos again. A cello, Northern Italy, 18th century. Miracle there, England, 1800. Got a few kind of English, supposedly English cellos around. We've at least made the halfway point in this auction, so that's good. Cello, 18th century. That looks very German. Another square-shouldered one. Could obviously be wrong though. One of these crazy cellos by Richelme here. Bizarre boat-looking things. Cello, England, 1780. Cello, 19th century. Frechner. That's a curious-looking cello there. Slightly interesting rounded bounce. Curious scroll. Kind of like it in a bizarre way. Okay, I think we can go over to the next page now. Okay, cello by John William Owens, Leeds, 1905. So a lot of these instruments are going to need a setup there. That's actually a really lovely piece of wood. Look at that beautiful piece of wood there for that cello. A cello by Giuseppe Quagliano. Interesting. Not to be confused with Galliano. Interesting. Right, back to violas now. School of Ferber. Really do like some of these kind of English violas from that period. It's a nice, lovely bit of wood there. Very interesting. Mircore, some other kind of stuff here. German. Voigt, 19th century. This is an interesting looking one. Viola, 19th century, labelled Paolo Scarampella, 400. Very kind of broad looking. Little bit all over the place. But kind of like it. Right, let's carry on. Okay, so some interesting stuff going on here. Right, okay, so we have probably what's going to be one of the most important instruments of this auction, I think. A violin by a member of the Guarneri family, ascribed to Giuseppe Filius and Giuseppe del Gesù, Cremona, circa 1720. Interesting. So, so this has some certificates saying that it's kind of a top-level Guarneri violin. The estimate is kind of extremely conservative based on that. So backed by a member of the Guarneri family, scroll likely to be by a member of the Guarneri family, ribs old but not original to the violin, topped by another hand, dendrochronology unclear, so kind of good luck with that. Nice bit of wood for the back. Scroll is kind of very Del Gesù kind of looking, I would say, and so it's going to be interesting seeing how this plays out. 356 length the back, because I think probably just a scroll, a Del Gesù scroll alone is probably worth 250 grand or something like that. So let's see how that goes. No bids so far, but if you've got a spare 30 grand, might be worth investing in that. Got a Bernadelle here, always nicely made, really nice wear there. Really actually like the Bernadelle. I'm kind of pretty negative about French instruments quite a lot. It's decapitated scroll there, unfortunately, but I really do like the work of Bernadelle. It's very nice. Interesting. Oh, we've got a random Viola coming here in between the violins. That's a bit bizarre. By René Morizon. Okay, that took me by surprise. Violin by Carlo Tononi, Venice. It's like a 1700, 20 to 30 on that. So wow, there's opportunities here. That's a really nice kind of back as well to get all sorts of Italian instruments and a fairly reasonable price. So can't argue with that. School of Klotz, Germany 18th century. Violin probably English 19th century. Let's have a quick look at that. It's just an absolute madness, this auction already. It's just bonkers. Right, early Scottish violin here. Joseph Ruddiman, Aberdeen, 1773. This is the kind of thing that I'd ordinarily be interested in, although that does not look super appealing, being honest. But let's see what else we got here. Some other kind of English stuff. See, Didier, violin in France, 18th century. Let's see what else we got here. Viola, Austria. Got another Mason here. Violin by Walter H. Mason. Windermere. Interesting back on that one. Kind of curious. Let's see what else we got here. Violin, 1830. Let's go through. Right, a violin by Pasquale Ventapane, Naples, circa 1850. 6 to 10 the estimate on that's already a bid. 362 seems kind of fairly large. Now a beautiful back on that. Wow, look at that, stunning. Very interesting violin, cool scroll. There's definitely some curious stuff around for sure. That's very interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Violin Workshop of Forster. It's like 1800. Okay. Right, violin probably Northern Italy, 18th century, 3 to 5 on that. 355 length the back. We've already got bids on that one. Wow, another interesting back there and scroll. Curious stuff here. Klotz family violin there. Marsh. A lot of this stuff we're just going to have to keep going through. That looks kind of interesting. Violin Miracle circa 1860. Maybe it's just a bit more misleading. That looks like quite a nice kind of varnish composition. We are blitzing it through here. What kind of violins here? Violin probably Italy, 18th century. Head and table by another hand. I do get extremely confused by some of the estimates of these violins. You have kind of a violin that's probably Italy with, you know, head and table by another hand estimate 8 to 10, and then you have like a Tononi estimate like 20. It's just a bit confusing to me, but anyway. Right, this is a very interesting violin. A violin by Ramirez Leesom, London, 1748. Once again, another really interesting violin that would be really cool to get your hands on. Actually, what kind of size is that? 354, yeah. Good kind of size there. Mittenwald. More stuff. Lebert, Calsa. Lots of French stuff here as well. Lots of English things. Lots of possible Italian things. Violin Austria, circa 1780. Oh, something's going a bit weird here with the page. Looks like quite heavily over varnished or something on that one. Okay, we've got a violin by Dante and Alfredo Gastala. Sure there was one of these in another Amati auction not that long ago. Strong varnish on that. Needs obviously a bit of work there. So, let's see, we're gradually going on. Must be some bows soon. Workshop of Chapuis. I do like the Chapuis stuff. That's not so exciting. Another viola just randomly in the middle. It's a bit of a bizarre. Okay, interesting violin here. Violin by Barak Norman and Nathaniel Cross. It's like 1720. Nice looking violin. Really cool scroll. That is an interesting one. In England, 1780. Composite violin, possibly Italy. It's also interesting to see what has bids on at this early stage, in which it just doesn't really make any sense to me anymore. Violin attributed to Eugenio Degani, 15 to 25 on that. Nice back on that. Violin for W.E. Hill and Sons. Looks fairly standard. Another Chapuis. This one looks a lot nicer. Yeah, it's a nice looking violin. Would like to own one of those at some point. Lots of interesting stuff. Apparoot, School of Bets. Slowly getting there. Violin by Eugenio Degani, Venice, 1887. 20 to 30 on that. This really not too keen on, I'll be honest. Another. If we had are there 3 Masons in this auction? Where I'm going mad at this point. I can't even remember what's going on. Violin, School of Bets. Okay. Right. Oh, another Nathaniel Cross here. Violin by Nathaniel Cross, London, 1731. 4 to 6. Pretty crazy that you can get like a really, really amazing English violin for potentially, 5 or 6 grand. And that's pretty awesome. Right, David Rubio, violin. Interesting looking instrument there, 800 to 1500. I think that this violin definitely was in another sale. I remember seeing this before with this crazy tape and big chip out of the skull. It's interesting. It's not the most attractive of violins, but it would be pretty cool to get. Interesting. What's this mark here? Missing wood purfling. Yeah, it's all just a little bit bizarre what's going on with this violin. It's quite strange, but definitely interesting. Paris, 1770. Violin, Italy, 20th century. It's all of this stuff. Right, now some really interesting things. We've got some pochettes, which I'm a big fan of these. Interesting scroll there. 500 to 1,000 there. Looks like we've got a few of them. It's interesting. Let's get 500 to 1,000 on that. Let's have a look at. Did we look at this one? I'm confused now already. Nothing's new. Yeah, really good looking instruments. This is really nice looking one. Yeah, I really like this one. This is really cool. Another one here, Germany, 19th century. Interesting figurehead on that one. Not to my taste as such. We're on to bows again now. Page 14 of 16. We're getting there. Gonna have to once again be pretty brutal with bows. Got some hill bows here. Let's see, another Ushar here. Sold with certificate of Etienne Vatlo. I think below it we've got a gold mounting one there, 8 to 12. So there's some pretty high-end French bows in this auction. Really curious to see how this goes. A few hills as well. Silver mounted violin bow in the manner of tubs. Okay, interesting description. Right, another Sartre here. Also a very low price. Spliced head. Head not original. So there you go. If you want a kind of part Sartre bow. Let's see what else we've got here. A few other bits and pieces. Yeah, all some really interesting boltitude. Yeah, really good selection of things. A silver mounted violin bow by Max Millant here. Looks like in fairly good condition. School of Pacat. Oh, it's a Mayer here. Silver mounted violin bow by Nicholas Remy Mayer. Paris 1850. Original splice under lapping. Interesting. Okay, Dershowitz Gotts. Finkel. Golden ivory bow here by John Clutterbuck and Stephen Bristow. Nice looking bow that. 1 to 2. Right, we've got some child's bows or pochette bows. I guess they kind of go with the pochettes that we saw a bit earlier. That's a really nice bow. Look at that. I bet that will do pretty well in its own right. Another one here. Sometimes images are a little bit slow to load. A few more books. Right, some other interesting stuff here. They have a 1958 Fender Strat as well, which is kind of a bit unusual for Amati, but they obviously picked up something somewhere. Yeah, interesting looking guitar. I think that's a pretty good starting point. Electric guitar by Gibson, ES3T5, Kalamazoo, 1961. Now this is a very nice guitar. That is a very nice instrument. Electric guitar by Rickenbacker, Fireglow. Another kind of nice looking guitar. Let's see what else we've got here. A couple of other guitars here. I've got a Martin as well. Yeah, interesting. Well, there we go. That has been the Amati. Oh, we've just gone to the wrong page. That is the Amati kind of sale for March the 26th and 27th. Absolute madness. Like I can't even deal with it anymore, to be honest, because I've been looking at the other catalogues as well. Absolutely insane. There's so much stuff beyond belief out on the market today. I think you just got to be really careful and really slow if you're looking for stuff, because there's just endless choice. It's just, I don't know where it's all coming from. It's just coming from somewhere, but it's just like non-stop, more and more stuff on the market all the time. It's really mad. But anyway, check out the catalogue. I'll put a link to it in the description. See what you think. If you've got any comments, let me know. Any questions, just go for it. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next video. So thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.